All right, with this, we start session 204 of Tesos and Wi-Fi. This time, not in the man cave, we're recording from Valencia, in La Madre Patria, in Spain. So I don't know if Payman JT, this is a group we created for Spanish speakers. Of course, you know, this session is going to be in English. We do both English and Spanish. We have guests from, you know, different companies, and we're always just sharing knowledge, just letting people know what's going on. Was it last week or the week before that we were at Mobility Field Day? I don't know.
The week before, yeah.
I can barely remember what happened this morning.
2 weeks ago.
What happened last week or the week before. So maybe it's not going to be as big as the crowd you had in Mobility Field Day in San Jose Payment a couple weeks ago, but we have Marco. He's from Salt Lake City. Well, he was in Mobility Field Day as well. But then here I have Victor. He's from Mexico. And then from Mexico also have Daniel. And then we have Luis that he's from Dominican Republic, but he's in Florida. And then we have Ruben, which is actually from Valencia, but he's in Mexico now. And Alex, he's from the Ukraine, but he lives here in Spain. We just had dinner with him just a few minutes ago. So we have a variety of people. We've talked about eino before. I gave him kind of a summary of what happened at Mobility Field Day. That was my first time. That was your first time. So
Correct.
how was it?
It was amazing. There were two types of feedback we received. One from the people that they were there, that I talked, individually with, I would say, half of the people there, and then through email. But then afterwards, we received a lot of emails and interest from the people who have seen the video. And then there's like, oh, I saw the video there, and let's have a chat. And and I think that was what we were aiming for, to kind of get exposed and introduce people to our platform, and how we think about it and how different we think it is. And seems like it had caught some interest. So we are glad we did it.
And that's what Mobility Field Day is all about. I've seen videos before, but being there as a delegate was a little bit stressful, because they have expectations on us as well. And it's kind of exciting because we get firsthand of companies like you that are new to the industry, and we get to know before things may get made public and stuff, or they get made public during the event. So for those of you listening or here that don't know or haven't heard about Mobility Field Day, they just bring companies pay to be there, and then they show their products and their services and what they do, and then that also contributes to the industry, letting them know. And I assume the feedback has been then, for what Payman just said, very beneficial. It's kind of brutal sometimes, because they just start asking you questions and putting you on the spot, and that can be probably mixed emotions about like, oh, that's great feedback, but I'm on the spot right now, and I'm kind of like being exposed, and sometimes probably that's what we need. So why don't you tell us, and looks like we got JT here as well, a little bit of your story, just briefly, kind of like what eino is all about.
Sure. So we are two co-founders. I'm Payman and JT here. And we have a mix of background, both in academia and industry. I studied photonics. JT was an astrophysicist, and we did a lot of.
So is having a PhD a requirement to work at eino?
Yeah, I mean, as a co-founder, then that's it. I guess it made us to kind of understand each other pretty well, because we kind of had the same world. And, we both have industry experience as well. JT has worked at CenturyLink, and I worked at a company called OptiWave, which is a tool for designing networks, but mainly on the optical layer and optical devices. So I got exposed to that, and we started the company, and originally the company was more focused on the optical layer, but gradually we kind of got out of the layer, and we realized the wireless is where we have more interest, and there are problems that we could solve. And to give you a little bit more background, we realized previously there was a concept that you had Wi-Fi networks, and then you had cellular networks for public usage. But then past, I would say, 3, 4, 5 years, now we have this concept of enterprise connectivity. And enterprise connectivity could be Wi-Fi, could be cellular, could be LoRaWAN. and we start thinking how we could create one platform that is built for anyone who's designing solutions for enterprise connectivity. And if they want to do Wi-Fi, if they want to do cellular, they want to mix them together, indoor, outdoor, they'd be able to do them all together in one place. And that's kind of our view about that. And we're very well aware that designing Wi-Fi has its own challenges and details that you need to consider once you go to the private cellular world. Those considerations are the same. And we're trying to kind of understand how we could support both in a way that the designs are accurate and has the features that the users need. Also, there's concept of indoor and outdoor. And indoor, the considerations are a little bit different than outdoor. Outdoor usually have an environment with the clutter data, with all the details that happens there. And then indoor, you have walls and how the signal propagates there. There's the concept of fixed wireless that's coming in, because if you want to do end-to-end solutions somewhere far, you need to have fixed wireless to bring the internet there. And then from there, you want to do Wi-Fi, point to multi-point or private cellular. So we thought, what if we have all of those together in one platform? And and at the same time, we're talking.
Basically, is like a design of wireless networks for indoors, like Wi-Fi, and outdoors also, like CBRS, I assume, private 5G, and all that type of stuff, all comprehensive.
Correct. Yes,
now,
correct.
It sounds like, IB Wave or Ekahau or any one of the other companies. So you're basically another player in this field. Of course, what people always ask, that they're going to try to compare, one company to the other, and why is eino different? What makes eino different than what's out there in the market right now?
Correct. So, there are tools in the market that they have been around for many years, and they're all great tools because there are thousands and thousands of networks that are built using those tools. So that means they're great tools. But there are some differences there. When we look at IB Wave, it's a very sophisticated tool. It requires like a deep expertise to be able to use it, and it's mainly built for carrier level design of cellular network. But once we come to the private cellular network, it's a different concept. The cost structure is different. The number of the radios you put is different. The way you design the network is different. So there are some different requirements that are there that we thought we could put in our platform. In terms of Wi-Fi design as well, we realized that there are ways to introduce automation and create some sort of recommendation engine that could help out people to save time, provide first your rough order of magnitude, the very first initial design when you haven't won the project yet, and you don't want to spend much money, be able to very fast create that rough order of magnitude, and then from there be able to basically go and tune and do that detailed design and avoid many of the manual works that happens there. And and then go all the way to the validation side. So I think that's how we are different. We try to basically tune the product or build the product in a way that it kind of fit for that private cellular and the Wi-Fi will be able to make things faster and easier for the people through that area system.
And faster and easier is what we all need. And I think now with the presence of more players on the field of Wi-Fi design, this comes probably at a perfect timing, because there are a lot of organizations out there that are either not renewing services with existing providers, or they're just new to it and they just want to explore all the different options that they have. Do you have a chance to probably share your screen and kind of show us how the tool works a little bit? Let me just stop sharing my still boring pictures that are not very clear, and then I'll just let you kind of show your product and kind of let our audience see for themselves.
Sure.
Kind of
Certainly. So we are a web-based platform, so you're able to basically design on web, so you don't need to install, and that provides a couple of things that you're able to easily log in anywhere that you are. You're also able to basically share and work on projects together on the different phases and make sure that everything's like online. So that makes this process much easier. But I'll go through the process of creating the project. So when you create a new project, you could create an indoor project, you could create an outdoor project, and you could create project through your own Flutter data. So the train data and the ESM data that you have. I'll show you an example of how you could create a project in each of these workflows, and feel free to stop me, ask question, anyone comes.
Oh, I will. I will.
So,
we're good at doing that, interrupting whoever's presenting.
Certainly. So on the outdoor project, the most important thing is about the environment that you're building network. Well, anywhere that you build a network, the most important thing is where you build the network, and having correct and accurate information about that area makes a big difference. And whether it's indoor, outdoor, you kind of need to create that scene. And that's usually the part that kind of takes a lot of time to do that. And we start thinking how we could make it easier. Either indoor side, which is understanding all the walls that you have there. If it's outdoor, understanding all the obstructions that you have there. And then, or you have your own files, be able to help you to create those shape files in a fast way for your purposes. So this is connected to the Google Maps. So you're able to basically search wherever you want. So I'm in New York, so I mean, I search for NYU and basically, get it here. And that's shows like these trees that we have there, all these buildings there, and it could do it for anywhere. We could, find a port somewhere in New Jersey, down in the Brooklyn, and find it there. But basically, you're able to find that area as you have there, and once you find that area, you basically just put like a circle around it and say, okay, this is the area that I, want to build my network. And what we do is we go and collect data from different sources that we have to understand basically what exactly exists in that area. So originally we get this image.
So now on this map that you selected, could you use this then for outdoor CBRS or private LTE and or Wi-Fi as well?
Correct, yes. So I have this plain map now. It only has the train data, basically knows the elevations at different places, but it doesn't have any of the clutter. So we have this thing called generate obstruction, and what it does, it goes and connects to different services, and at the same time also does different types of image processing to understand what exactly is there. And
so this is like drawing attenuation areas, but you didn't draw them. You just told them based on what's in the map, draw some obstacles.
Exactly. Yeah, okay. Go and basically build this for me. And it's two different methodology that we use here. One is their APIs and data sources that we go and collect data. And one is through like different types of algorithms that we have developed. We be able to go and basically see what it is. So you see like in these areas that I defined, we have these buildings, it has different heights there. We have, if you kind of go further, you see that there's different height for trees here. So it has recognized and it created that surface for these trees in different locations.
Can you modify some of this or add your own?
Yes, you're able to modify. So, this is the building. The assumption is that, there's a concrete wall there and it has a specific thickness, it has a specific height, but you're able to change that and basically say, okay, this is not 35, this is 10 centimeter, and you basically, boom, it's done. Or for example, you come here and say, oh, I have a lot of containers here that I did not basically put it there. What if I go and, draw one of those there and say, this is a metal container, it's 2 millimeter, that's usually what it is, and the thickness, and it's 6 meters high. And, I go and draw this here and basically I have this, and I'm able to go and, easily from there, select it, copy, paste it, add it to different locations that I have. So, or multi-select and copy and, do all of those manipulations as I want there on these files, and basically, modify it the way I want. So that's kind of the first phase that we help to create those environments much faster way if it's outdoor. And if it's basically an indoor way you're able to go and
Yeah, no, but
upload
wait,
your.
before you move away from that one, go
Sorry,
back to that if you
sure,
can,
sure.
and then so now if you want to add, I don't know, CBRS antennas or Wi-Fi
Sure.
access points. Now,
Yeah.
Mark has designed for outdoor stuff for CBRS and stuff. What did you use in the past, Marco?
For outdoor, I've used Google Planner.
Isn't that going
It
away,
tends
or
to be you can't get access to it. If you have access, it still works. But
okay.
they've closed off anybody new getting access, and we were also finding it's not the most accurate, specifically with CBRS. With other bands, it's a little more accurate, but with how CBRS is, it's not the most accurate.
Okay.
So, but the others, like
Oh, so you're just choosing
Homina, doesn't have clutter data.
And now define what clutter data is, payment.
Yeah, so clutter data is basically two categories. Well, there's the train data, which is about the surface. So the surface is generally not flat. So as you could see, you could see on top here that train has different surface height in different locations, and that significantly uh, affects how your signal propagates there because the area goes ups and downs. And then you have basically a surface on top. The surface on top could be your buildings that you have around there, or it could be some sort of vegetation in terms of like trees and forests that you have there. So combination of those provides you that clutter data that's required specifically on the outdoor design.
Okay.
Yeah. And I assume, you wanted to see, okay, what if I want to put like a radio there and how it works. So we have Wi-Fi and cellular, indoor, outdoor. This is, for example, Stellona CBRS antenna. You're able to set your channel spacing, your power levels. You could see your max ERP there. You could basically have different types of antennas that supports and have like one or two sectors and play with your down tilts, play with your azimuth and all sorts. But then once you add it, you're able to basically add your hardware, anywhere you want, and based on that, receive your heat map and play around with your sectors, and everything kind of changes live as you move things, and you're able to see kind of how's the effect of that all together in different locations.
Where in the height? How tall is that antenna?
So this is 10 meters now, but you're
10
able
meters
to change it. So you could say, okay, what if it's 20 meters? So now I get more, coverage here. You're also able to see what is your heat map at what level. Now we're showing at 1.5 meters, but in the wireless, let's say I want to see how it's at 4 meters. So your signal changes based on the clutter and everything as you have there. Yeah, and then you could do that. And it's very important once you get the fixed wireless, because you need to know basically where you put your receiver. So this is an example for fixed wireless. And second thing that's important is like, what is the gain of your receiver? So we have some of the receivers that people generally use, and we have their antenna gain and everything. So when you select one and say, okay, I want to put it, for example, at 3 meter high, once you apply, the heat maps gets updated based on that, as if I have this receiver.
The receiver will be simulating the client then, just like
exactly
a tablet or a Chromebook or a phone.
Yeah, this is more of a receiver for the fixed wireless. So basically, it is kind of a receiver of signal, so you could distribute it around,
like a point-to-point.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah. So you could basically understand that, okay, where do I have, what's my received signal there? And there's an analysis you usually do for the fixed wireless point-to-point, which is like a Fresnel zone analysis to understand, okay, what is my clearance, what is my zone 1 radius, my received signal, and it's quite important. So we do that analysis for you, and you're able to basically see that, okay, this is my transmitter. I had all these buildings, I had these trees, and this is my receiver. And at the highest point, I have like 2.2 meter clearance there. And based on your standards of design, you could play with it and change it and say, okay, 3 meters, that's not enough clearance for me. So maybe I should have a higher receiver and, get there. So that's kind of one thing on the outdoor that you could, help to facilitate and make this process faster.
Any questions, anybody so far? Looks like, let me just check here who else has joined us. We have Afonso from Portugal. Hey, Afonso, ¿cómo estás?
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Muy bien. Bien, Leo Cabral. Yeah, I got a few more. It's coming up. Thanks for showing up, guys. All right, let me just here. Okay, go ahead, Payman.
Yes. So, and I was talking to Mark today, so he's seen part of these. There's stuff you could do. You could play around with your heat maps, like do you want to see different colors and levels there, and you're able to export this data in CSV or PDF, KMZ format, and basically use it in different ways that you need to use. You could export both your design in terms of like APs, locations, the power, everything there, and also in terms of like your heat map values. If you want to visualize it somewhere else, you're able to do all of those here.
All right.
Yeah.
Sure,
And
many of our guys here are probably interested very much on the Wi-Fi part, because that's kind of like what they do on a daily basis.
Certainly. And I show an example of indoors because that's more where Wi-Fi, I guess, is used for.
Yeah.
So in the indoor design for the Wi-Fi, you generally start by, some sort of layout there. And, we have different types of layouts, like layer, PDF, normal PDF, PWG, or like the vector and raster side. If you have any sort of vector images that are there, we are able to basically go and analyze all the walls and stuff for you. For example, this is the PDF file that I've uploaded there. And two things that we ask you to do when you upload the layout to help in the automation side. One side of it is basically setting the scale of the project. Usually there's some sort of information of the scale. Here, there's like nothing there, but I could just look at the wall and understand that, okay, my wall's 1 meter on this project. I've measured it and I know what it is. And then the second side, we basically ask you, tell us, where you want to build this network. And based on that, our calculations in terms of calculating the coverage area, but also doing some of the automation in AI work basically helps out here. Once you have a more clear area, you can definitely change it later on. But the first step is you have this kind of project layout uploaded on the design on the platform here. And generally, you need to go either find the layers and, based on that, put your walls there or draw the walls. We have, different wall types and materials you're able to put there. But one thing we have implemented is kind of this generate walls that analyzes this image, and based on how it's been drawn and how it looks like, tries to automate that process and basically finds those walls and everything for you. So if I go this on 3D, it has been able to recognize all the location of the walls there, and the color coding is generally for the material that he has used there, and says, okay, these are the walls I find. This is their thickness of my walls, this is their material, and this is like the height of my walls. So you kind of have your thing there. It might not be 100% accurate. For example, here I have recognized these stairs as walls, but you could basically just select and delete them and, get these fixed. But it saves you a lot of time, especially at the start, that you want to just get your initial rough order of magnitude. You could say,
you just have
okay,
to go and like shape it and get rid of little things or add little things that were missed or.
exactly. And this is basically a model that training, it's a learning model. So as we receive new basically layouts, we retrain and it becomes better and better and better as you go. So this is like a non-layered PDF. It's just a flat PDF that it was able to
That
basically
image, yeah.
do it. Yeah, do a pretty good job. It was not, it was a PDF vector, but no layering in it. It was just
Okay.
flat in that sense.
And
And
I'm glad to see that like the text zoom in, like it says what acute care lab. Yeah, I'm glad that none of those letters were found as or detected as walls and simulated
yeah,
there.
yeah, usually that happens, but we train the model to make sure these things are not happening there, and basically we do that. We do those correctly there. But
Okay, now you
once you have done, yeah, because that's happened many times, so we learn. So you go and clean up these areas, and then generally the first step of the design, you guys go for like make sure there's enough coverage everywhere, and okay, what's that number of APs we require here? And we have this thing called place AP, and you're able to go and say, okay, I want to design with this AP as I have, and I want to make sure at 5 gigahertz I have minimum minus 70 hours supply, and that's my design criteria there. And tell me, how many APs I need, and what would be the best places that I need to uh, put my APs there. So this kind of optimization algorithm goes through your environments and understand, okay, there are different types of walls that they have, how signal propagates through them. And based on that, how many APs I need and where I need to put them and how does my heat map kind of look like there. So that's kind of a general design that it gave you. And we automatically generate the statistics that you need about 22 AP here. And this is your bill of material.
I can probably see some guys here cringing because looks like it placed them all in the corridors, which we've had this argument before, like in hotels. Like we are in a hotel in Valencia right now, and like the APs are in the hallways, and like I'm lucky. Hopefully, I don't jinx it, but we're lucky we have good connectivity now because earlier today we were kind of experiencing that.
Yes.
So, and then there comes, of course, I'm not saying that it's wrong. It's doing the best it can. And now the humans will come with the knowledge that we have of from real life experience and perhaps modify this. As we modify this and perhaps relocate APs or manually add APs, is that also training the software to kind of like follow those patterns before? Or how would that work or benefit the software?
That's a great point. Yes. There are many details in the design of the Wi-Fi that needs to be considered. This is just more like general side, but yes, do I put it in corridors? I cannot put it in corridors. I have to put it in room. I cannot put it in the rooms. My power levels, all these details there. So on one side, we are basically getting a lot of feedback on these features, and we are making the changes that you could say, okay, these are different types of areas I have. I want to make sure no AP goes to the corridor.
Yeah,
And
and
all my
I'm
AP,
not saying that, and I'm not saying that they cannot go. They will go, and we need them in corridors sometimes. It's just that as a general practice, we've learned from so many mistakes we all have made in the past because we didn't know any better because somebody told us to do so. That corridors can have some negative effects on that stuff. But this is great because the software automatically placed APs, and now you have like a design right there in just mere minutes.
Yeah, and you could say your distributions and drop-offs and say, okay, 95% of my areas has minus 80 dBm, and the areas they don't have is like my corridor and stuff. And there's the concept of capacity and demand as well, which is a very complicated case. And it's not just something that say, okay, what is my capacity? But the general conversations we had, it's mostly about, okay, how many users I want to serve per AP, what is the type of throughput they need to have there, and what is my kind of baseline capacity that is required there. And one thing we could do is we have this area and we could assign a demand to it. So that's something also we have automated, that okay, this is an office space, and I could say go and generate demand, and it goes and kind of generates your initial demand here for you. So you say there's an office traffic, and we have a definition for the office traffic that you have your office equipment, you have your employee devices, and what's their density, what's their peak throughput, average throughput, hourly, everything there, and you're able to change all of these things. But this is like some template that it provides for you. But then once it provides that for you, the platform goes and basically does calculations. Say, okay, based on that, you're very well good on your capacity because you have 80 users altogether. You have 22 APs here, and your worst AP is only using 6%. So you're able to very fast kind of get some view here. And then if you think this demand is not kind of enough for you, say, okay, I don't want to have my minimum at 5, my minimum is 10, and I have like 7 users per square meter, you could go and basically update these, and the backend basically does the recalculation of these and kind of say, okay, now it has changed, and now you have 97 users. And how does that work? And so these are kind of these initial work that when you get a project, you'll be able in 10 minutes do your like initial work that you might not exactly put your AP here, but you have a good estimate of how many APs, how it's going to perform, and just click a report. You have your reports generated and be able to just show it to your client that, okay, I've done my analysis. This is what you need. This is the cost. This is my bill of material. And basically, yes or no. And there's like always 10%, 5%, difference that you could see there. And, you could have all of these information ready for you to basically go for it from there.
Yeah, and Payman, if you go back to the design, just to be clear, this may be obvious, but on any of these APs that were in the automated design, like for example, in the bottom left, to your point about the corridor, right? The algorithm has said it's efficient to put it in the corridor because it covers a lot of the rooms. But you look at this and see that, inside those rooms, the coverage maybe isn't great. It is trivial. You can drag the AP and just modify it, and it's updating live. So there's no there's nothing that locks you into what the initial estimate was.
Can you just look at like the coverage of one AP if you select one?
Yeah, that's something we're adding by the end of the week. We realize it's very important for you guys to do that. Yes, yes, that's something you're adding. And then, as you said, you could just go and say, okay, now I need to add one here. So now I'm good there. And I could see my stats are improved.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Wow, pretty exciting for all those out there designing Wi-Fi. Now, part of the design sometimes is going on site and measuring and double checking and kind of like corroborating losses and attenuation and stuff. Do you have a device that you use to go on site and measure or to validate and compare the simulation versus the actual measurements on site?
Sure. So it's a bit different for indoor and outdoor. For outdoor, we have created some kind of standard schema that you're able to export site survey data if it had any sort of lat-long information. So if you go and collect with any device that has lat-long and you're able to export, you're able to basically export those data and see it on our platform. And I'll show you one example here. If I think this is an example, I might be wrong. This is not an example. Yeah, and show it there. But if you're doing an indoor project, we don't have it yet because indoor you need to have specific X and Y to be able to show it there. And but we are talking to some partners to be able to work with them and provide that connectivity that you could use, some of the devices that you use, and then using those, you'd be able to import the data back and compare.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's see. I don't know if Luna or anybody here, Jorge Abello hardly ever comes on visit. How is it going, Jorge?
Hi, how are you?
Doing pretty good. Yeah, looking at a new project, eino AI.
Hi, nice to meet you, eino. I
Nice to
didn't
meet
know
you too,
about
man.
I didn't know anything about the
man.
tool, so I was really curious to understand what is the purpose of the products.
Well, you get in here firsthand.
Yes.
You're
Yes.
welcome.
Thank you so much. Please continue. Don't worry.
Thank you,
Sure.
Payman and JT, for sharing this with the community.
Sure, definitely. And maybe a quick
Our
note at
pleasure.
the end. I know in Wi-Fi, you guys are very, like, the most important thing is about the channel assignment and interference that you get from the channels. So we do have like an automated channel assignment that you're able to see all the channels assigned at basically different frequencies, and you're able to see your interferences that happens there and be able to compare and change and understand, how it's working, your sinar and all those basically information there as well.
I'm seeing in your presentation, you're not including 6 gigahertz. Are you planning to add it?
Sorry, what was the question?
Yeah,
You don't have
he was
there
asking about.
6
Sorry, he
gigahertz.
was asking about 6 gigahertz.
Yeah.
The AP that was chosen here only supports 2.4 and 5. That's why it was restricted. But when you
Yeah.
select an AP, if it's 6 gigahertz compatible, then that shows up as an option that you can see the coverage is 6 gigahertz. And all of the, the back end ray tracing calculations, and the attenuations and the materials and stuff account for the differences in frequency.
Okay.
Yeah, so this Wi-Fi, this model specifically, this Cambium 23T has 6 gigahertz, so it shows up there as well.
Okay. Can you change, like, if you did a design with one model, like swap all the APs in their locations to a different model and reapply everything?
Yes, you could go here and basically apply that, and basically it changes the AP, and it shows you, I could go to RSSI, and then you're able to see basically everything there changed, and then the difference between them, and you could change.
How large and how complete is your like database of manufacturers and access points in right now, and how hard is it to add another AP?
So we do have a very good kind of both Wi-Fi and cellular indoor and outdoor. It's not very hard to add. If you want to add a new antenna pattern to an existing AP, you're able to import an external antenna there and just put it there. So if the antenna is different. For the AP itself, any AP you say, we have some relationships with the vendor and we're able to add it there. So if there's anything
is that something that the end user could do by themselves, or is that something they have to request from you?
The AP itself, you have to request from us, but the antenna pattern, if you have a new antenna pattern for an existing AP, like you want to add an external antenna to a Wi-Fi or a private cellular that the antenna and radio are usually different, you could do it yourself.
Okay. All right.
And the ability for users to input APs is something that we have on the roadmap. It's just, you can imagine we have to make sure that it's done correctly. So
yeah,
and got that kind of in our mind.
Scary. That's kind of scary that unless you know what you're doing, and it just, they may just cause more damage and probably import it wrong or not get outcome they should get if you guys are doing it. So in my case, personally, I would rather have you guys do it than me doing it.
Yeah. And we could add it pretty fast, if you request anything we don't have. Usually when somebody starts using a platform, we ask them, what are all the APs you use? And we make sure all of them are there and they're able to use. Because usually you work with certain models and they're there.
Well, this is great. Payman, JT, how has Mobility Field Day kind of like reshaped how you were thinking, or what's been the outcome of participating Mobility Field Day?
I would say the main thing was the flow of feedback that we received that help us to better strategize in terms of our roadmap and understand that what is really necessary for the customers in terms of the features they want and what's the must-have that we have. So, we could get a faster adoption of our platform. So it kind of creates some sort of momentum in terms of the people who start using and the feedback they provided, and that really cleared the vision for us and the product roadmap.
Perfect. How is eino going to revolutionize the industry, and how are wireless professionals going to benefit from you being in the playground now?
Our goal is to make the process as smooth and as easy as possible for you. So you don't spend your time by the computer just clicking, because you end up spending a lot of your time clicking and clicking and clicking, and we don't want you to do that. We want you to basically use your time efficiently. And if a new technology comes in, you'll be able to design confidently with that. So, for example, there are a lot of Wi-Fi designers that want to get to the private cellular world. We want them to be confident using our tool and say, okay, I'm able to do this design and I have this capability. I've been doing mostly indoor and now I want to do outdoor, and then I'll be able to do that as well. Or a new technology comes in, they want to do LoRaWAN. They say, I could do that as well. So our goal is being able to help you to be more efficient and more confident as the new technology comes in, to be able to design the network in the best possible way and reduce the cost and the time that takes you to get there.
Perfect. So anybody, any questions? Just to remind you, we have people from South America, from Mexico, from the US, from the Caribbean, Dominican Republic, from Portugal, in Europe. We have several guys here from Spain. And we're just excited that you had time to come and share with us. I know there's a lot of going on in the industry right now, and seeing another player, I'm sure a lot of people are just curious, like, Jorge, you just got this guy that hardly ever comes to visit us, and look, he's here. Thanks for coming, Navejo.
I'm sorry, I'm from Mexico, but I was late. I tried to stay as much earlier as possible. But is this a project or is already a product you are selling? Or what's I'm sorry, I was late. Probably
Oh,
you
good.
already
I
talked
need to
about
apologize,
this.
man. Thanks for coming.
It's a
Yeah, of
project?
course, man. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a product. Yes, it's a product. It's a software product that we provide for solution architects and network designers to be able to use in designing their wireless networks.
Okay, and do you have like a model, a licensing model already, or you are working on that?
Yes, and that's one thing I would like to actually emphasize. Our model is different. Generally, when you sell any sort of enterprise software, it's based on the number of seats. You buy like an annual seat per user, but we have redesigned the model based on a project base. So you're able to get a monthly membership, and based on that, you get credits and use those credits for your projects. In that sense, you're able to scale based on the number of projects you get every month. If you just get one project a month, you use that one credit. If you want to do 2, 3, 4, you are able to add. And we are very loose in the number of seats. So let's say for the smallest one, you could have 5 users at a time. So you don't need to just buy seats and sitting there. You basically pay for the project, and then you could add that cost to your invoice as well to get it from your customer, rather than putting it at your own cost, operational cost. You put it as a project cost and say, I pay $1,000 for this design, $500, whatever price, and charge them. So it gets out of your margins.
Okay, thank you. And probably you already showed a report. It's on PDF, and it's a downloadable version, right?
Correct. You're
Okay.
able to do PDF, CSV, KMZ, and download it and use it further on.
Can you export on Word, for example, just to try to emphasize something or make some changes? Is that possible?
You're able to add your own notes to our report. So we have a page for you that you're able to add as much as notes as you want, but the output is PDF. You're able to add and remove pages, but within a page, at the moment, you're not able to change a graph or something, just whatever chart is there. But you're able to choose which parts you want to have and which parts you don't want to have, and add details to it.
And basically, I saw you have some APs or brand names of the vendors, but probably you were like 4 or 5. I was not sure, but it's around 6 vendors. So do you have a plan or a roadmap in which one you will probably continue adding new vendors to that?
Yeah, we are able to add as many as possible that you basically need. So these are vendors we have in Wi-Fi, and then these are the vendors we have in cellular. But if there's anything that you don't see there, tell us, and we'll definitely add those to the platform.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you, Jorge. Thank you, everybody, for coming from all over the world. I know this was kind of a last minute one. Yes.
What is required in terms of hardware? In future with Windows or Mac or what?
It's a web-based platform, so you could run it on a browser, so you don't need to install it on your own computer.
Okay.
They even run on
So-
Linux. You have Linux, Daniel?
Even
No, I don't use Linux. I still use Windows 2000.
Windows T.
can it access internet, it's okay. Did you, sorry, I had to get out a little bit. Did you talk about something about licensing?
No, I was just saying, yes, our license is a bit different. It's a project-based. You pay a subscription, you get credits, and you use those credits per project. So you could scale the way you want. If you have 1 project a month versus 5 projects a month, you could easily scale based on that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Project. Now, is that project then open and active like perpetually, or is there like an expiration date on that project? Because sometimes you know,
As
you
long
project, then you have to start making changes, and then you wait 2 months until the board comes or the construction company tells you something, you have to make changes again.
Sure. As long as you have an active subscription, it's there and you can use it forever. If you pause your subscription, we have a model that you could just keep your project with a very, very small money. So you could just, store it. We store it for you so you could come back and use it later on.
Okay. So payment. You gave us a trial at Mobility Field Day. Is there a
Yes.
chance, like, I don't know, like a week or 2-week trial for these guys that, made time to come and listen to us today?
Yes, certainly share with me their email addresses, and I'll be more than happy to give them a week of trial. So see what they think about it.
There we go.
Yeah, sounds great.
Super.
See, it pays to be here. Thank you guys for coming. Appreciate very much your time. This is the end of session 204 of Tesos in Wi-Fi. This is a follow-up to Mobility Field Day. Eino was a first-time presenter. I was a first-time delegate there. It was quite an experience. So I guess next time you come, you're gonna have to bring JT to get some heat by himself. He just flew out there to the Lions, and he just watched from far away.
That's right. Throw in a little bit of technical bit here and there, and let Payman deal with the heat for sure.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, guys. Appreciate your time.
Have a good one.
Thanks.
Bye.
As I'm, se les quiere gratis. Nos vemos mañana o pasado mañana, no, viernes que vamos a tener la siguiente. All right. Se les quiere gratis. Nos vemos en 2 días. Thank you very much.
Cuídense.
Adiós.
Gracias.
Hasta luego. Adiós. Buenas noches.
Hasta luego.
Adiós. Hasta luego.
Bye bye.